Hi guys, and welcome to our lesson on the Renaissance. Today we are going to be looking at the artist Michelangelo and a few other artists from the Renaissance period. Okay, so just to start off, to get us thinking a little bit before we go into our lesson in full, I want you to look at the pieces of art pictures that I have displayed on the screen for you here. Alright, so you'll see there are 6 different pieces of art being displayed here. I want you to see, can you see any similarities between each of these? Is there any differences? Do you recognize any of them? A lot of you will have seen a few of them before. Do you know anything about any of these pieces of art? And just have a few minutes just to kind of look and appreciate what's going on here. So I'm going to ask you to pause, have a look at them. What do you notice similarly between them? What aspects of Renaissance art that we looked at before? So perspective, sfumato, realism, all those kind of things. Do you notice any of that going on here? Right, and just have a bit of what are the similarities and what's the differences between these different pieces of art. Okay, so you will have noticed here that there's a great level of realism between all these pieces of art. Now, I know some of them aren't that clear to see in the pictures, but if we look at the statues, so the statue down at the bottom of Mary holding Jesus, the statue here, we can notice the face of Mary, which we can see in quite a lot of detail here, is very, very beautiful, very realistic. We can see the detail in the body of Jesus and the arms, the legs. The same up here when we look at the statue of David, and you've zoomed in look of it on his face. You can see the realism within the hair, the nose, the lips. And if we look at the picture here of, I believe it's Adam and God, and you can see the hands, and if we zoomed in and closer on the hands, you would see a great level of detail in the hands. So lots and lots of realism going on here. You might also notice the religious aspect pervading here. So we have the Virgin Mary and Jesus, we have David, the character from the Bible, David who slew Goliath, we have God, we have actually all of these images are relating to Christianity. Some of you who are more have a more detailed knowledge of art may actually be aware that of the reason why I put all of these together. And the reason why I put all of these up together is that all of these pieces of work are actually created by the same person. Right? So one artist created all of these different pieces of work, and this is only a very small selection of this artist's work. And so that artist is Michelangelo. So you'll see here this on the left hand side is the Last Judgment, is the painted in the Sistine Chapel. We have the Pieta, which is one of the most famous sculptures. We have David. We have this dome here shows Michelangelo's architectural skill. This is the dome of St. Peter's Basilica, which he designed. So a huge amount of work, all from the same person, really just trying to show here what the range and the level of Michelangelo's talent, that he was able to create all of these different beautiful pieces of work. All of these, obviously, as we have photos, have survived a long time. They've been appreciated for a long time, and really shows the depth of his skill. Okay, so today what we're doing is we want to know a bit more about the life and the work of Michelangelo. We also want to be aware of some of the other artists of the Renaissance period. So, first thing we're going to do is I want to talk to you a bit about Michelangelo's life. As I'm doing this, what I want you to do is answer these questions. So, name 2 sculptures made by Michelangelo. What building did Michelangelo famously paint the inside of? What other type of work did Michelangelo complete? Who was Lorenzo de' Medici? And what is your favorite piece of work by Michelangelo, and why do you like this? Now you can choose one of the pieces that we're going to discuss. You can look in the booklet, and it's on pages, I believe, pages 3 and 4 of the booklet. You will see lots of different works by Michelangelo there. Or you can look up some more works, okay? He completed, I believe it's 42 sculptures in his life, along with a lot of paintings, some architecture. There's a huge amount of work attributed to him. So I've just given you a small selection. If you want to look up some more and you want to say one of those is your favorite, just make sure you give me the name so that I know which one you're talking about. But Michelangelo, who is he? So Michelangelo was an artist. He was born in Florence, the city of Florence in Italy, in 1475. He studied sculpture at the Medici School of Art. So the Medicis were a very powerful family in Florence, and we've talked before about how powerful families in these different city-states in Italy wanted to show that their city was the greatest city-state around, and the Medicis in Florence were some of the most uh, the strongest ones in terms of being patrons of art. So the Medicis are really, really important to Renaissance art. They paid and trained a lot of the greatest artists of the time. And Michelangelo was one of these artists. So his patron was a man named Lorenzo de' Medici. So one of the most famous members of the Medici family. Lorenzo was a huge patron of the arts and was Michelangelo's patron. So it was the person who kind of asked for most of Michelangelo's works to be made, kept him going in terms of money, and sponsored him to be an artist. Now, later on, Michelangelo was sponsored by the Pope in some of his work, but Medici is definitely very, very important in terms of getting Michelangelo going as an artist and being his patron, his sponsor. Michelangelo was, as I said, born in Florence. He lived quite long. He lived to be 88 years old, which is quite a long time, quite old, even by today's standards. So this is important to kind of keep in mind. Just when we talk about average life expectancy in terms of times like medieval times and Renaissance time, and we usually say that's quite a lot lower than modern days. Now, the important thing here to remember is that, yes, while average life expectancy may be low, it doesn't mean that no one lives to old age. Michelangelo is an example of someone who does live to old age. Okay, the reason that average is so low is because a lot of people die as children, and that brings the average age way down. But people who do live to be adults can live to be quite good ages. Michelangelo, was quite wealthy in terms of being a talented artist, and he lived to quite a good age of 88. In his life, he created a lot of pieces of work. Like I said, he created 42 sculptures. The most famous of his sculptures, I was going to flick back to the first one, the most famous sculpture is probably David, and that is the statue up here at the top. The statue of David, that is built out of a single piece of marble, so sculpted out of a single piece of marble. It's 5 meters tall, and it's usually considered to be probably his greatest piece of work. Millions still go to view, so it's still in Florence. You can go and see it. There are arguments over who actually owns it. Does Florence own it? Does the state of Italy own it? But it is very much a very popular piece of art to go and see. We also have the Pieta, which is in the Vatican City in Rome, another beautiful sculpture by Michelangelo. There's plenty of other sculptures out there by him. Like I said, he created 42. These are probably just the two most well known. He was also, however, an incredibly talented artist, and you can see here on the left we have the Last Judgment. We have from the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel this picture of Adam and God reaching out to each other, and these are examples of the paintings that he created. Now, he didn't create as many paintings as he did sculptures, but those that he did create are absolutely magnificent pieces of work and very, very famous to this day. Towards the end of his life, he also got interested in architecture, and this dome of St. Peter's Basilica, now here you can see the inside dome, you can see how ornately designed it is. I would encourage you to kind of look up the Basilica and just see the outside of it as well, and you can see the range of his talent here, because not only is he an artist who can paint, not only is he a sculptor who can sculpt, he is also an architect who can build. Right, so this is a very wide array of talents that he has, and on top of this, he's actually a poet as well, right? And because he has so many talents, he is often referred to or considered to be what we would say called a Renaissance man. And a Renaissance man is someone who has a range of talents, a person who is good at a number of different things. And there's two people who are considered to be the most ideal Renaissance men. One is Michelangelo because of his wide range of skills in terms of art, sculpture, architecture, poetry, and then another gentleman, Leonardo da Vinci, who we will discuss later on, who was a philosopher and inventor and artist, a number of things as well. So this is kind of what Michelangelo was famous for. He's considered probably the most influential artist in the world in terms of how much he has influenced modern art and how much of his work still exists and is still considered to be so great. So a very, very interesting man, a very talented artist, and definitely someone that we need to be aware of in terms of the influence of the Renaissance art and how it changed artistic thinking, how it still is looked and revered to this day, how people still go to appreciate it. We have to look at Michelangelo as being one of the most successful artists of the Renaissance. So the questions there, 5 questions, you're going to answer them. You might need to pause now. Like I said, all this information, or most of this information is in the booklet. And you have, say, maybe 5-10 minutes if you need it to answer those questions before continuing on with the video. Okay, so like I said, those questions are going to be submitted to teams at the end of the lesson. Before that though, we have another piece of work, and the other piece of work I want you to do is a little bit of research. So Michelangelo, it's important to understand as one of the greatest artists of the Renaissance time, but definitely not the only artist. And some other artists that you could look at. And I want you to choose one of these 4 that I've given to you here. We have Albrecht Dürer, we have Sophonisba Anguissola, we have Giorgio Vasari, and we have Titian. And basically, what I want you to do is choose one of these and you're going to research a bit of information about them. So, which artist did you choose? So just give me the name. When was this artist born and when did they die? What country were they from? Name 3 famous pieces of art created by this person and give 3 other facts about this person's life, work, or legacy. So that's your task 2 for today. So task 1 is that work on the different questions on Michelangelo. Task 2 is to research a different artist. When you have all that completed, you're going to take a picture of it and submit it to me on Teams today. Alright guys, so any questions, just give me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Best of luck and I will see you on Friday.